Good evening and welcome to the 9th season of New York Theater Barn's Choreography Lab. I'm Joe Burrows and I'm the Artistic Director of New York Theater Barn. Thanks for being here. For the past 15 years, New York Theater Barn has created an inclusive home for original culture-shifting musicals during incubation. Since 2007, New York Theater Barn has been providing space, funding, and a safe opportunity to experiment in front of live audiences, often for the first time, kind of like tonight. We believe that there's no formula for musical theater except authenticity. We serve underrepresented artists and audiences in our commitment to anti-racist, equity, and anti-oppression ideologies while adopting a decolonial approach to theater making and practice. We are also actively expanding who has access to musical theater development opportunities. Now I want to tell you a few things that we've been up to lately. This past summer, New York Theater Barn launched Barn on Fire, a new summer residency on Fire Island for original musicals in development. Barn on Fire is a collaboration with the Fire Island Pines Arts Project, and Tony Award-winning director choreographer Jerry Mitchell served as mentor to the lab and to the writers. Later this fall, our imprint of Broadway Records, Theater Barn Records, will release a concept EP of Sueños, our American musical, and a compilation album called The New Musicals Mixtape, which will include songs from 6 new musicals. After producing a 2017 developmental production, we're continuing our collaboration with The Cell to support the new musical Sam's Room. Sam's Room is inspired by real stories of non-speaking teens who find a way to communicate. We'll collaborate with The Cell to create a week-long community-focused residency for the writers of Sam's Room to explore the non-speaking role of Sam through the participation of multiple disabled and non-disabled artists. Celebrating disabled artists without seeing disability as a monolith, the residency will explore how various forms of communication may inform clarity in the non-speaking, non-verbal, verbal, physical, and musical storytelling in the show. When you have 2 hands, it's hard to pull your glasses up like that. Just so you know. The writers also have a relationship with Bennett Key, a 21-year-old man with Joubert syndrome, and his family through a program facilitated by the Foster Schmidt Dance Academy for Down syndrome in Atlanta. The writers also plan to use this time to continue collaborating with Bennett and his family as a writing partner on the show, with the goal of making the writing team more inclusive. We'll document the residency and release it as a virtual presentation that will broadcast to a global audience. On October 6th, and in celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month, we'll present The Musicals de Mañana, a concert at 54 Below featuring songs from the most thrilling and influential Latina musical theater writers on the rise. We're in New York City, so you're hearing a siren, or you're not, but we are. The concert will also be streamed live. We're proud to make space to lift up original musicals written for, by, and about Latina people and cultures, and understanding that Latina is not a monolith. This concert explores the eclectic stories and sounds from musical theater storytellers of diverse Hispanic backgrounds. And on October 10th, our award-winning New Work series will feature 3 new musicals, including an original musical from the 2-time Tony Award-winning writer of Urinetown, Greg Codis. More on that later. So, this is why we're here tonight. The 9th season of New York Theater Barn's Choreography Lab is made possible by and is born out of the passion and imagination of Avital Asuleen. Yes. Avi is a choreographer, director, performer, educator, dance practitioner, and all-around great human. And now here to tell you more about tonight's program, let me introduce you to the director of the Choreography Lab, Avital Asuleen.
Thank you, Joe. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you, dancers. Thank you, choreographers. Thank you, all of our artistic staff. And thank you, our audience. So this is our 9th season of the Choreography Lab, and this is our 2nd lab at Baryshnikov Arts Center, which I'm thrilled about. This is a gorgeous space, and I love having the lab in it. Tonight's lab is 1 show, 3 choreographers. That means that we feature 1 musical, but we'll showcase 3 different numbers from that musical, and we'll get to see how 3 choreographic voices interpret material from the same show. In this lab, we will see work from choreographers Rachel Bertone, Danielle Diniz, and Melodye Redding. We'll see each number twice tonight, which we always do at Choreography Lab. Well, I say always, but then there was that little thing called the pandemic, and sometimes we did different things, and sometimes we did video things, so which we mostly do for Choreography Lab. Tonight's original musical is Nothing to See Here, with book and music by Bryan Blaskie and book and lyrics by Laurie Hochman, and we are very excited to have Bryan here. So, yeah. All right, we're gonna get to dancing soon, I promise. Nothing to See Here tells the story of Frank Robinson, the man who orchestrated the 1925 Scopes Evolution trial as a publicity stunt for his struggling community of Dayton, Tennessee, and his wife, Mae Robinson, who wants to save her family from falling apart. Nothing to See Here has been workshopped at NYU Graduate Musical Theater Writing Program and the Rubber City Theater's Musical Incubator, and was also featured on our own New York Theater Barn new work series. Also, we have one more thing to share with you. We are so pleased to introduce our guest moderator, Louie Villabon, who is right here, so I'll talk about this first. So, before I bring you up, I have to just tell all of the wonderful things about you. So Louie is a director, a choreographer, and a performer working in New York, regionally, internationally, and on film. He performed on stage in Peter Pan with Kathy Rigby. He was the assistant choreographer to Paula Abdul, which I didn't know until I read this like a few days ago. And he worked recently on the film The Girl Who Left Home with Paolo Montalban and appears on the podcast The World to Come. Another really great thing about Louie is that he was mentored by Tony Award winner and a Chorus Line original Broadway cast member, Bjork Lee. He was also the associate director of the 2019 Spanish production of A Chorus Line starring Antonio Banderas. Louie has restaged A Chorus Line around the world, and as an actor has totaled over 1,750 performances of that iconic show. He can also be seen this fall in On Your Feet at Paper Mill Playhouse. So Louie, come on up and say hello.
Thank you so much for that amazing introduction. Hi, everybody. How's everyone doing? Oh, I'm so excited to be here. So excited to be here. 9th season of anything is incredible. I want to thank Joe and Avital for having me. I've always wanted to be a part of this. I've been to many of them, and I think it's such a unique opportunity for choreographers to be able to have this kind of incubation environment. I wish I had it when I was a younger choreographer. I kind of just stayed home with my Skittles and action figures, trying to figure out formations and telling the story on my own in a room. So I think it's just phenomenal. This is the first time I'd ever seen anything like this. I think it's so incredible that you have created this space for not only choreographers, but for dancers to really get an opportunity to learn what it is to choreograph and to get feedback from people in the industry to create what we all are here to do, which is to tell stories and to make story-driven decisions and to hone that in as much as we can, because as you all know, we never arrive, right? But we can strive to arrive. So thank you very much for having me.
Oh, thank you.
I'm a kisser.
I love it. All right. I'm really looking forward to discussing the pieces with you tonight, Louie. So one quick last thing before we get started. I promise we're starting so soon. I'd like to remind you that we're still committed to our community's health and safety. As you can see, we are keeping our audience masked. Our choreographers and humans who are speaking tonight have taken PCR and rapid tests, and Baryshnikov is a vaccinated venue. And of course, we want to thank Broadway Dance Center for donating rehearsal space to us, and Full Out Creative for partnering with us to produce this event. None of this would be possible without all of their support. All right, it is time to get started. Our first number of the evening is Nothing to See Here's opening number, The Town We Know, choreographed by Melodye Redding. It's 1925, and the locals of Dayton, Tennessee are gathered at Robinson's Drugstore and Soda Fountain. The curtain opens from a vaudeville-style prologue, and the townspeople lament about prices going up while wages go down. And I bet my townspeople can start entering while I introduce them. The dancers in this piece are Naomi Rose Rodriguez, Eleazar Jimenez, Brian St. Cyr, Hannah Balago, Russell Valdez, and Zuri Foreman. And this is The Town We Know.
getting more expensive these days.
Sorry, folks, there's a tax on everything these days.
Damn, Coolidge.
They didn't put a price up, a tax on flour.
And chewing tobacco.
I used to live on a dime a week, now it's a dime a day. On hours, fares, and pennies and prayers, since Coolidge got his way. I used to plan several years ahead, now I'm week to week.
Living through war sure changes the score.
Turning blue to bleak.
Remember not knowing what money was for, or if the sun would shine.
Remember when women would keep up the home?
And men worked in the mine.
Remember when we were fine.
Next thing you know, we'll be paying for air.
We won't have a breath to spare.
The world we know is crumbling, the world we know is falling, like the mine shaft down below. We ain't got nowhere else to go. Give us back the town we know. I used to dream of a quiet life, now life is on these trains.
Pounding the stakes and whistles for breaks.
Rounding wagon trains.
Remember not knowing what radio was or how the flowers grew.
Remember when children would fill up the church and leave no empty pew.
Remember just me and you.
Sorry to say, simple life is long gone.
Gates grow darker every dawn.
The world we know is crumbling, the world we know is falling, like a dead leaf in the snow. We ain't got nowhere else to go. Give us back the town we know.
Oh, coffee's going up.
That keeps growing up.
I keep showing up, I keep trying, but bootleg's going up too. Someone ought to fix this, someone ought to try, someone ought to right this wrong, wherever we belong.
Remember when church was a heaven for all and Master Hall would smile. Remember when God listened to prayers and angels were dancing near me now.
I haven't seen them in a while. This is the end of the good and the kind.
The end to the easy ride. The end of everything we know.
Days of rest. The world we know is crumbling. The world we know is falling. Like the Trojan palace. Like the Roman chalice. Like the walls of Jericho. We ain't got no place, nowhere to hide. Nowhere else to go. We ain't got nowhere. Nowhere else to go. Oh! Give us back the town. Give us back the town. Our town. Give us back the town we know.
Wonderful, wonderful. Let's bring up Melodye, choreographer.
I'm going to introduce him. This is Byron. This is Eleazar. This is Russell. This is Naomi. This is Zuri. And this is Hannah.
All right, dancers, you can hang for a second. You can be sort of like chilling upstage, pretty much. Yeah, I know, it's casual. Let's bring Laurie up here as well, and we can just talk a little bit. So I loved the piece. I loved the energy. I loved just like the big, vibrant movement. I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, congratulations to everyone. Really, really good job. I love the description of coming from a vaudeville opening and the fact that you kind of bridged that for us as well. Let me throw my glasses on. Joe, you were so right. Don't you love a callback? Yeah, so the first thing that I noticed is that this is a piece of contrast, right? There's a piece of both talking about the good old days, things that were positive, and then how things are a little bit negative now. And that was reflected very clearly in the choreography. I think that it could be driven even a little bit more. And by that I mean the arc of the piece overall. I feel one thing you might want to consider is to make the heaviness grow throughout. And that'll be even more of a contrast with all of the positive times, the good times that we had. I think if the piece could get heavier and heavier and heavier, and maybe grow in its frustration, reflected in maybe more staccato and sharp movement and desperation. I think that that's something that might be achievable to do within the confines of this environment tonight. Yeah, I think that's what I have. I think you did a really great job with reflecting not only the folksiness of the people, but also the fact that they're having some troubles on the horizon.
So, I didn't tell you, but those of you who have been to Choreography Lab before, if you have anything you would like to contribute, I can come around and bring the microphone around if anybody has any comments or thoughts or anything that they'd like to share. Perhaps Mr. Joe Barros would like to say something. Yeah, you know, always a ringer is good.
I just want to say that I appreciated all the eclectic styles of dance. It was very story-driven, but I love to see the tap step. I'd love to see something sort of ballroom, and then I love the Charleston step that you did. It was very cool. I also really appreciated the fact that the intensity and the energy from all the dancers was unified in the moments that were unified, but even when they were all doing the same movement, they felt individual to me. They felt specific. So it was that they were all doing the right steps, but they were making it their own, and really appreciated that.
Thanks, Joe. Anyone else? Audience, friends? It's okay. It's hard post-COVID getting back into this. I always feel like I'm Miss Maisel when I'm doing this. It's fine. I start walking around with the microphone. I'll start making off-color 1950s jokes. Don't worry about it. So I would just like to say, before we see the number a second time, for me, I felt like there might be a way, just from an acting intention place, to see even more desperation. So kind of echoing Louie's comment about the heaviness, I feel like it's a intention of desperation that could get layered on top of this. And the final thing that I will just add is finding moments where we are obviously dancing to a track, and obviously when this musical is performed fully, it will eventually be performed with live singers. I think as you continue to think about this piece, just thinking about places where we might be able to dial back what's happening a tiny bit, so that that would still be able to happen. I think it's obviously it works for today, but for further iterations it might be too much to PK and belt and harmonize. Maybe. Did you? Yeah, I'm coming back. Yes.
To speak to that comment about the intentionality of desperation in the performances, I do think some of that would naturally come out when the performers are also singing it and have actually internalized what they're saying. Because right now the performers are mostly, they're dancing and that's what they're doing. And so of course you've got that big, I'm dancing and everyone's watching me look on your face. So I think some of that is already in there and would come out with the performers having more of the piece internalized over time. But what I was going to say, the thing I really liked was you had lots of little touches that I thought emphasized what the lyrics were saying without Mickey Mousing them. The one that popped out to me was early on when he says, I used to plan ahead and now it's all from day to day, which is the gesture of that was a very, very sharp and clean visual way of relating the idea of what the lyric was doing, and I don't know, it stuck out. I thought it was good.
I love that. I think that's great. That's wonderful. All right, so I think it's time to see this number a second time. Melody, if you want to talk to them for like 30 seconds, give them what they might need. Yeah, and if dancers for the second piece want to be getting their heads in the game, now would be a great time to do that. I love that. All right, that was cool. Yeah. All right, let's get ourselves down and we'll get ready to see the second one. I like this. I like having a chair in this venue. Yeah. Sometimes I forget to have a chair. And I just sit over there. All right, Melody, are we good?
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Let's see for the second time. Oh, and audience, please note, we do have Kyle here capturing this with a moving camera for our second iteration. So, when you're ready,
They can see this too.
Yes. Here we go.
Seems the price of necessities are getting more expensive. Sorry, folks, there's a tax on everything these days. Damn Coolidge.
They even put a tax on flour.
And chewing tobacco.
I used to live on a dime a week. Now it's a dime a day. On hours spares and pennies of prayers, it's Coolidge got his way.
I used to plan several years ahead. Now I do week to week.
Living through war sure changes the score.
Turning blue to bleak.
Remember not knowing what money was for, or if the sun would shine.
Remember when women would keep up the home.
It meant work to the mind.
Remember when we were fine. Next thing you know, we'll be paying for air.
We won't have a breath to spare.
The world we know is crumbling. The world we know is falling. Like the mine shaft down below. We ain't got nowhere else to go. Give us back the town we know.
I used to dream of a quiet life. Now life is always rains.
Counting the stakes and whistles for breaks.
Rolling when it rains. Remember not knowing what radio was or how the flowers grew. Remember when children would fill up the church and leave no empty pew. Remember just me and you.
Sorry to say, simple life is long gone.
Days grow darker every dawn.
The world we know is crumbling. The world we know is falling. Like a dead leaf in the snow. We ain't got nowhere else to go. Give us back the town we know. Oh, coffee's going up.
That keeps growing up.
I keep showing up.
I keep trying, but bootleg's going up too. Someone ought to fix this. Someone ought to try. Someone ought to right this wrong. Wherever we belong. Remember when church was a heaven for old and felt for how to smile. Remember when God listened to prayers and angels were dancing down the aisle. I haven't seen them in a while.
This is the end of the good and the kind.
The end to the easy mind. The end of everything we know. Days are the world we know is crumbling. The world we know is falling. Like the Trojan palace, like the Roman chalice, like the wall of Jericho. We ain't got no place, nowhere, no how, nowhere else to go. We ain't got nowhere, nowhere else to go. Oh, give us back the town, give us back the town, our town, give us back the town we know.
All right, thank you so much. Take a little bow. Yeah. All right, so we will be back in one moment for our next piece. So in-person audience, you can feel free to take a very quick stretch. And at home, live-streamed audience, please enjoy this little Choreography Lab reel. And everyone else can have some water. Here we go. back. So we are going to have next the number Simple Folk, choreographed by Danielle Diniz. I do need to tell you that there was a small dancer issue today, and so we are not going to be seeing one of her dancers. We are going to see Danielle in her piece, which is why we are not waving at her right now. So Danielle is standing into her own piece today. So just before we see Danielle's piece, Simple Folk, a little bit about the number. Nothing to See Here does use the organizing principle of a vaudeville bill to comment on the nation's experience of the trial as entertainment. Though John Scopes was actually on trial and the case was legitimate, syndicated newspaper columns and the invention of radio turned it into a story that everyone everywhere had to follow. It was kind of the must-see TV of 1925. So, in this song, infamously acerbic reporter H.L. Mencken is snooping around Dayton to find out the real story. He assumes the townspeople are ignorant, backward, and just a bunch of simple folk, and they let him think just that. The dancers in this number are Ai Toyoshima, Taylor Sparicio, David, I believe, is our friend who is not here, correct? Yes, okay. Mason Cummings, Matthew Kennedy, and John Yepes, and Danielle standing in for David. All right, here we go. Come on in, dancers. And this is Simple Folk, Run Through One. Dancer and choreographer here. Dancers,
yes.
take a breath.
Sorry, that was unexpected, but yes, I'm Danielle, and popped on in. This is our lovely dancer, Taylor Sparicio, Yepes, Matt Kennedy, Ai Toyoshima, and Mason. Great, so great to have you.
All right. right, so like we did before, we'll keep Danielle up here, and dancers, you can like hang out at the bar until it's time to do the thing again. And let's bring Louie on up as well to talk, but you have to come down in the hot seat and get your feedback. Yeah, sure. I really loved the piece, and I loved the irony inherent in sort of simple folk, but you did all of this stylized movement that is like not so simple to pull off, which I feel like especially those of us who like work in the movement space like kind of know that that's very tongue-in-cheek to be like, oh, it's so simple to execute these very like particular isolations that are not simple at all. So that was really cool. Here.
I would like to completely echo what you're saying. First of all, I think the music is super layered. It's super interesting and complex and nuanced. Again, the lyric is talking about this simple town, and you have all these very odd clinks in it, so that we understand that there's an undertow happening that can kind of signal an impending kind of doom in a way. And I think that you reflected that in the movement so beautifully. Yeah, you had so many different quirky movements that I think really served the piece beautifully. So I think it was a beautiful marriage of composition, both choreographically and musically. So thank you for that. God, that opening tableau is effective. That kind of, you put us immediately in a space where we wanted to really know and explore. And I liked it. I just was like, I like where I am already. Just with the opening tableau. So you already had me at moment zero. You had me at tableau, man. I want that t-shirt. Yeah. I love when choreography uses stillness as effectively as you did. It really focused us. You know, I'm a Michael Bennett baby, and one of the things that he was so brilliant at doing, he was a very cinematic choreographer and director. He was able to really place your focus in a very specific place, and I think that you achieved that as well tonight. Yeah, there was such a like a Brechtian undertone in the piece, that at times very, very cabaret and very like dark, yet why am I smiling? You know, so again, great collaboration with that. I felt that every dancer's intention and focus was super unified, as though you had like a 4-week rehearsal period that you could break down not only the movement but also the acting intention in the faces, and it really molded well with the body. Okay, let's get to something that we could. I mean, I'm like loving this piece. There's a moment that's a really cool Fosse moment, like tip the hat. I would love to see a contrast I would love for you to make the big movement bigger and the small movement, perhaps a Fosse choreography, even smaller and more intentional. And as we know, Fosse was all about laser sharp focus and intention. I think that a lot of us in this room would know that he loved his dancers to have a secret, that glint in the eye, and even an angle of the face, and those laser sharp eyes communicating to the audience, I have something that you want, right? So I think that moment, if you're gonna encapsulate a Fosse moment, I think you need to go there fully and not compromise on that, right? So when the feet are together, when the movement is quirky, the movement's quirky. Yeah, I think that could be really driven home a lot more. And that's really what I would love to see. The highs higher, the bigger movement's bigger, and the tiny, I hope that makes sense to you. Awesome.
Absolutely, I think that sounds great. Friends at home / we can't do that, but friends in the audience, that would be so great. I think like we could at some point, but not tonight, and that's okay. If anybody has anything they'd like to add or comment or question Danielle about, now would be the time. It was a pretty cool number, I know, I don't have that much to say. Yeah, oh, let's see, yeah.
I love the breath.
Yeah.
I loved the breath that he took. It was so perfect. I loved that part, yeah.
All right, so if there's nothing else, let's let Danielle speak to her dancers for a moment, and we'll see the number a second time, this time with our moving camera.
What a treat.
Yeah, of course. Are we good? Amazing. Let's see the second iteration of this. We'll see that amazing tableau, and then we'll go. I told you there would not be another commercial, but I have an announcement before we do our third and final piece. I want to let you know that as of right now, this minute, the applications for our final lab of the season, an open lab, which will take place on Monday, November 14th, are open. So the applications are now open. We put them out on the website. I mean, they were on the website earlier today, but now they're open. So we will be selecting 3 early to mid-career choreographers to participate in this lab, which will be live streamed from Full Out Creative Studios and will consist of a mentorship component. So this is a lab where you get a mentor. We do some labs with mentors and some labs without. In this lab, choreographers will have the opportunity to create short pre-recorded, so to create some narrative dance videos of their own devising. The only requirement is that the work be story-driven and or contain a narrative of some kind. So to apply for this, please visit the lab application page on New York Theater Barn's website. And I hope all of you in here, I hope those of you watching will spread the word about this opportunity. Choreography Lab is only as strong as the members in our community, so please let people know that they can apply for this lab. In the meantime, I believe we are ready to see the final number, The Town We Know Reprise, which was choreographed by Rachel Bertone. So, at the beginning of this show, the townspeople of Dayton were looking for someone to help them slow down the changing world. Mrs. Robinson took on that role, but by this point in the show, her fellow church ladies are more focused on just getting through the day than saving the entire world. The Town We Know reprise also quotes the title song of the show, Nothing to See Here, sung by reporter H.L. Mencken, signifying just how much the city folk have ingratiated themselves with and altered the lives and minds of the locals. So if you haven't noticed, we've been seeing the same characters, these same townspeople, and how they have changed over the course of the show. We saw them at the beginning, we saw them at the middle, and now we are about to see them at the end. The dancers featured in this piece are David Aaliyah, Joel Douglas, Alexa Wang, Tracy Sokat, Joy Clark, and Brianna McGuire. Right. And this is the Town We Know reprise.
There is still time to raise money for the church. My father's church. If only we all work together.
People showing up, debt keeps going up, campfires going up, keep evolving, our prayers keep going up too. Nobody can fix this, nobody like you, nobody can right this wrong. It's an age-old song, and there's nothing to do, no, nothing to change, no, nothing, nothing, nothing to see. Don't you think about that harvest when our crops went all to ruin? No one blamed the politicians, we just died and planted new in. Don't you think about that rainstorm when the church became a river? Oh, your daddy didn't cry out, he said God's love will deliver. There's nothing to see here, no solutions, no way to clear. This town has made it through much harder times, and now this town has backbone and a will that will not bow. This town does not need more attention to hold on to and see. This town did not choose you to save us from defeat. The world we know is crumbling, the world we know is falling, but this town is here to stay. We ain't got no place, nowhere, no how, nowhere else to go. We ain't got nowhere, nowhere else to go. Oh, give us back the town. This is still our town, our town. Give us back the town. We know.
All right, let's bring Rachel up here.
Hello. These are my fabulous dancers, Brianna, Tracy, Joel, David, Alexa, and Joy. So Tracy just stepped in less than 24 hours ago. We wish our other amazing dancer all the best, and thank you for stepping in so last minute. Live theater, you know. Thank you.
All right, so as you can see, we wash, rinse, and repeat. So Rachel is going to stay on up here. Our fabulous dancers here are going to hang out upstage, and we're going to bring Louie on up so that we can chat a little bit about this piece, which is completely like full throttle. I feel like it just yeah. I love how it just kicks off with such amazing energy. And actually, a little tidbit that the audience here doesn't know, this piece was newly written for the show, thinking about how the townspeople's journey could really change. And I really like the way it turned out, and I really like seeing this whole narrative arc for the townspeople. So
Yeah, we do too.
yay! So I'm happy that that all worked out. I loved all the percussive moments, Rachel. I felt like those were just really appropriate and fun for the style of the piece, and I felt really grounded it and took it from being just a really exciting dance piece to being a little bit more grounded in the time and place that we're in. I'm going to give this over to Louie for that.
Great. Wow, thank you so much, Rachel. That was beautiful. And thank you, dancers. Beautiful, beautiful work, everyone. I was struck immediately by your formations and how, again, I'll echo what I said for the last piece, where you really effectively took our focus where you wanted it to go, where the story was taking us. The transitions were beautiful. It felt very fluid, and I felt like, cinematically speaking, there were these beautiful crossfades that I was riding a wave and I knew exactly where to go as an audience member with my focus. Beautiful, so effective. Yeah, there was this moment where everyone's clumped here, and there's one person downstage right, and I think the lyric is "did not choose you," and right before the "you," I think you guys are all kind of coming down in a plie. I feel like the arm was a little bit disjointed from this contraction. And if that arm could come from the spine and come from this depth, if it could grow from that, I don't know what the pattern is, right? And then in turn, the person that is a subject of that accusation or that focus can then be affected by that more viscerally. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think that in this piece, the music is so bright that I think that we could use a little bit more contrast with the anguish of what people can be feeling, right? So I think that could be achieved with maybe wider stances, more plie as the piece goes on. I think it's really right to be sharp and percussive in all those leaps in the beginning to match the music that we hear in the beginning. But I think that there could be a choreographic, sinister undertone that is a contrast to the music that might be really rich and interesting to layer underneath as subtext. Does that make sense? Perfect. Awesome. Sometimes I think it only makes sense to myself. Thank you.
Yeah, I thought it was really terrific. But I'm going to build off of what Louis was saying as well, and I think there is this really interesting thing where we were able to see this beginning, middle, and end of the storytelling, which we really all were only able to see for the first time today, right? I feel like I don't know about all of you, but I would take maybe slightly different like ideas or approaches like from getting to see everything kind of on its feet all together. And so for me, I guess I just wonder if there's a way that we can feel like a little bit more like almost like alienation or moments in which the characters feel, I guess like a jadedness or like an over-itness from their experiences. And I don't know if there's a certain point, again, I'm not as familiar with the shape of the number, but if there's a point where some of the characters could find some of that emotion, I think that might bring, again, some of that same quality that we're looking for that you were kind of talking about through a physicality viewpoint. I'm like thinking about through sort of like that directorial viewpoint. Absolutely. Yeah, anything from the rest of our friends out here? Come on, I know you have something. We got to get you talking all again, and we did a good job like before the pandemic, but now we're all shy again. Maybe, I don't know if Joe, if you have anything you want to add. It's like fine.
That brain is always thinking.
No, I basically, like Louis was saying, everything, we work together all the time. So he was saying a lot of the same things. I love this moment where he did this like leap over here where like you lifted up somebody and then you landed and there was like one hit and then there was a second hit and then there was a third hit and it was all really a surprise and it was just really, it was done really beautifully. You really understand economy of movement, economy of language, and vocabulary. Great job.
Thank you. Yay, all right. Okay, well, I'm not gonna like bring the microphone to people and force them to speak, so I think we are ready to see the piece for a second time. So let's give it up for these dancers one more time.
So thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you to Rachel, Danielle, and Melodye, and to Louie. Thank you so much. Yep, you can clap for them. And to Avi and Full Out Creative and everybody who made this possible. The 15th season of New York Theater Barn's award-winning New York series continues on Monday, October 10th, 2022. I guess I didn't need to say that. At 7 p.m. at the Cell here in New York City. The installment of the New York series features excerpts from the new musicals The End of All Flesh, written by two-time Tony Award-winning writer of Urinetown, Greg Codis, also of Yeast Nation. Sunken Cathedral, written by Taylor Fagans and Chase Urim, and Work, written by Parade Stone and Sequoia Selinger. The presentation will also be streamed live by Full Out Creative and will continue to provide ASL interpreters from Inclusion Communication Services for the presentation. And if you like the work that you saw tonight, please consider making a very, very large donation to New York Theater Barn. We make a lot happen with very little. For the most part, we are all volunteers. We work like we are full-time staff members, but we do not get paid like it yet. We have a budget of under $100,000, and like I said, we make a lot happen with very, very little. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and your gift tonight would be tax deductible. Your gift tonight and every day that you want to make a donation. You can make your donation easily on our website at nytheaterbarn.org. Again, that's www.nytheaterbarn.org, and that's theater with an R-E.
Just in case you missed it, you can donate. No, it's fine. I won't go again. But please, you can donate. All right, so that is our...
Everybody's doing it, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's really fun. All right, that is our show for this evening. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Baryshnikov Arts Center. Thank you, Full Out Creative. I believe that's it, right?
Awesome.
All right.
Have a good night.